And now we careen back into the road of life when it comes to the Red Clay wrap-ups and recaps. And for this one, I looked at the numbers, and I looked at the numbers, and the current national ranking has this team in particular at the top in the state of Georgia, all classification, and the top nationally, all classification. And for this, we go to Cumming, Georgia, and we get to catch up with what's going on with West Forsyth and our friend Jason Galt. You could have hydrated during the segment. That's perfectly fine. You didn't have to hide the water, Jason.
Yeah, I forgot my camera was on. So I see me drinking right now. But
look, dude. I've got this on camera all during 2.5 hours. It's all good. We believe in proper hydration for our guests and for hosts.
I'm telling you what, man. I invested in these metal water bottles.
Yeah.
I love them. Fit perfect in the car, and yeah.
I will, and Jason recommends the Buc-ee's 30-ounce the hot drink thermos because it keeps everything hot forever. So Jason goes to that same direction for the hot water keepers. You go into Buc-ee's, and he says, "Yep, for the entire day." If I had told you, if I had not teased you coming in by saying top-ranked team nationally, top-ranked team in the state of Georgia, and told you that you are now listed as the top-ranked team in the state of Georgia and the top-ranked team nationally, what would you have said?
I mean, I wouldn't have believed it because of that loss we had early, in the middle of the season. But we'll take it. We'll take it. It's a pretty special group. I mean, we got some very talented players in this team, and I like to jokingly say it's all coaching, but we know it's the exact opposite of that. Definitely not the coaching. We got some phenomenal players. So,
what did you learn about yourself this season specifically as a coach for this roster?
Because I've talked to you before about this. Every year is different. Every year I adjust the formation. What we ran this year, 4-2-4 is what I like. That's the formation I like the most. But the last 2 years we ran a 3-5-2 because of the personnel that I had. And then going into the season, I felt like we had a chance to be pretty good, but I knew that we had to stay healthy because we had a very small team. And if you watch the game, it's kind of funny. You'll see Walton's bench. They might have had 30 girls over there, and you look at our bench, and we got 4 subs.
Yeah,
literally 4 subs. So just I knew we had a chance just because of the talent level, and luckily, God bless us with some injury-free soccer this year, and we were able to finish the end healthy and take care of business.
How hard is that, considering you've got a 16-person roster? How hard is that to navigate, knowing your own expectations, how good you think you're going to be, and still only having that short bench? How hard is that to navigate as a coach?
It was really hard this year, and it's hard every year because they're not just – I can control what happens at West as far as when we practice. I have Wednesdays off, that kind of stuff. But these girls are still, during the season, they're practicing their clubs every once in a while. They're going to ID camps. I mean, I had girls going to LSU. So Carson Murray, who had the game winner, she goes to LSU for an ID camp the weekend before we play Brookwood. Yeah. So it might have been that week. There was somewhere I was worried about her getting back for the game. And luckily she got back. I told the dad, I told Troy, I said, listen, it's only an 8-hour drive. If something happens to the flight, you can get in the car and drive halfway of the night, and find a way. But they got back. But those are the variables that I have no control over. I mean, so I can control stuff we do to make sure we don't have injuries. But yeah, and all the girls have their private coaches. They work with them, and I can preach all I want. Hey, take it easy. But they're going to do it. I can't control them, But so it's, to answer your question, it's a tough road to navigate because there's a lot of moving parts that I don't have control over. So,
I mean, national team call-ups, going from one end of the planet to the other and missing out on playoff games and things like that. How do you keep your wits about you with expectations combined with success, losing players because of external things and demands that would help them with their careers academically, athletically, whatever? How do you keep your wits about you and control the controllables? How does that happen?
That's a great question. Honestly, it comes with experience and time. I've been coaching high school sports this is like year 29, year 30. I've been there for a long time. And as a young coach Galt, a lot of the stuff that comes up, I'd have stressed about, and I'd have been this and that, just gonna. But now you just gotta embrace it, and you celebrate some of the stuff. Like Alicia going and playing for the Columbia national team. I told her parents, this is, if she gets back, great, but this is awesome for her. We're happy, and it's something that as a more mature coach like I am now, you just got to embrace that stuff and find the joy rather than find how it's going to negatively affect your team, because you have no control over it. That's the one thing as you get older, you realize, don't worry about the stuff you can't control, and just, find positives in everything. And I think that's really the mindset. I'm definitely a glass half full type guy. I've always been that way as a coach. So I don't stress about stuff like when you're young and you have a lot of adrenaline and testosterone and and you think you know it all and it's going to be my way or the highway. Yeah, there's some possible issues, but now it's just like, you go with the flow. We have these expectations. The girls know the expectations as far as how we're ranked in the state and the nation, that kind of stuff. We embrace it. We embrace it and try to enjoy it.
Where is the trophy, by the way?
I just put it in Coach Phipp's office yesterday. So yeah, it's funny. After the state championship, I never take the trophy home. I let the girls say, "Girls, just make sure I get it back." So that day, like one night or 1 year, one of my players had it and spent the night at her house and took pictures of in her with a pillow and stuff. And they just it's theirs. I mean, they earned it. I'm just a facilitator. I'm just the manager. But yeah, they enjoy it. They just don't bring it back. Don't lose it. And they never lose it, so it's worked out.
I was wondering if it was a Stanley Cup thing for you, where everybody gets their moment with it, and then it comes back, and then it either stays with you, or it goes to Brett and goes in Brett Phipp's office, or it's shining like 4 separate spotlights when you go walking in the front door of the high school. I didn't know what the situation was.
Yeah, we got a trophy. We got a trophy case for him. It was us and our gymnastics team were tied for 3 championships apiece, and so now we have 4. So we kind of lead the pack in the school. But I'll tell you what, our girls lacrosse, man, they're special. They back-to-back state champions, and I don't see them not winning it for years. I mean, they finally got over the hump and beat Milton this year. So I think they should be national champions. I mean, hopefully they will be. I think they're ranked number 2 right now, but they should, because they beat state championship teams in Florida and up north. But yeah, they're going to catch up. They're a quality team. So me and Coach Kiefer have a little competition going.
When it comes to the program in and of itself, how would you best describe how it has grown and evolved since you've been there? How has the program and the sport grown there in the West Forsyth community since you were head coach?
So my first year, that was probably 9 years ago, 8 years ago, something like that. But I think we made the second round of the playoffs. They'd actually played for a state championship in 2016, so they've always had quality players here. But when I took over, we had some good players, and we played well. But for me, you got to remember, I was a soccer coach and a football coach for a long time, and then when I became a head football coach, I stopped coaching soccer. So I went a 10-year period of not thinking about soccer as far as from the coaching side of it, even though I'd done it forever. And then when I got back into it, the first year for me was kind of remembering a lot of the stuff that I learned as a coach, and kind of worked out in my mind as far as philosophies, kind of getting back into that stuff. But yeah, so went that first year, and we're kind of building, and I went through some coaching changes and this and that, and then the COVID happened, and that COVID year we were actually having a really good year. We beat Lambert for the first time in forever, so we were on track to have a pretty good season. And then of course we were all off. We came back, and then that's when the DA program shut down. And then I would argue that year, I guess it was 21, across the state of Georgia was probably the best competition across the state, because all these DA players all played high school in that 1 year. Now you still have a lot of that same level players are still playing high school, but I think that year because everybody was getting out of COVID, they're being shut down, and like, we're going to play soccer. So we had a really, really talented team that year, and that was kind of the springboard for us. And once that happened, the expectation was set, and the quality of player has just increased as the years have gone by. I mean, every year my first couple of years, I had 1 or 2 freshmen maybe make it. Last year I had 6 freshmen make it. This year I had 3 freshmen make it. So that means, and I don't let a freshman make the team unless they're actually going to start and play a bunch.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the level of player has definitely gone up, and we just have a standard now. We have an expectation.
So then, in your mind, what's the most important thing about high school soccer here in Georgia?
The most important thing?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a tough question. Wow. I think it varies for every school. Honestly, it varies for every sport and for every coach and for every team, because you might be taking over a program where you're trying to, have a winning record for the first time, and the things you do there that are important to that team and that program are going to be a lot different than what is important to my program. Because we're at the national level now. We're not just talking about state championships. We're talking about national championships. So I think it varies. I think ultimately, though, you want these girls to have a great experience.
Yeah.
I told you about the breakdown fun. How do you spell fun? We have fun. I think that's why I probably won't go back to coaching football, because when you're a football coach, you got to kind of be a you know what.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. I mean, that's the nature of the beast. I don't like being that way. I like being the fun guy. So with girls soccer, I can have fun at practice and joke and have a good time, and the girls respond. I think if you take it too serious, if you try to treat them like boys, and that's your format of coaching with girls, I think it's unsuccessful. So that's my take.
And for those that may not know, your head coaching career in the FOOTBALL was North Forsyth and Dutchtown.
Dutchtown, yes, sir.
So it went like Dutchtown, North Forsyth, and then you've got your soccer run.
Yes, came to West. Yep.
Is there one thing that you would change or augment, update, change about high school soccer in the state?
Oh, that's a tough question. It used to be the PK thing. I had this crazy idea about, because I hate, PKs. It's exciting to watch. Don't get me wrong. A lot of soccer, enthusiasts, love PKs. But I'm like, if we're going to go to overtime, how about just remove a player? Like, let's make it 10v10 for 5 minutes, and then 9v9 for 5 minutes, and 8v8 for 5, and just kind of like get down at that. That's kind of crazy. It would never happen. But that was some random thoughts that I had years ago. Just because, if you lose in PKs, that's just heartbreaking. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But change-wise, I've never understood this for Georgia high school, and I'm sure they have some logic behind it, but our first and second round games are a week apart.
Yeah.
And then our third and our fourth round games are 3 days apart.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some thinking, maybe they just have the logic that I don't understand. But to me, it makes more sense to have that first and second round game kind of one after another, and then give a little more time to kind of get ready for the big game. So I know it's above my pay grade, but that's just something I've kind of wondered kind of out loud.
Yeah, so. We see that in the National Hockey League, where they go 3-on-3 for overtime. We go from 5 to 5 to 3-on-3. My last question for you.
Yes, sir.
Benjamin Parker from Savannah Arts coming up around the corner. With this World Cup thing that's happening, less than 30 days away, what would you like to see when it comes to the impact and the legacy of this World Cup coming up? What would you like that to be?
Oh, man, impact and legacy. I love watching the World Cup, first of all. I sit at my house just every day just watching games. It's just, even though the boys' game is much different than the girls' game, I still love watching World Cup. Just create that excitement again. I think every time the World Cup comes around, I think there's a new invigoration in America, for the young people who start getting into soccer. And, just keep growing the sport. It's a great sport. I played it my whole life. I love coaching it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, and I think the World Cup opens a lot of people's eyes to what a great sport it is. Because in America, I mean, it's like you're football, you're basketball, you're baseball. And, I remember when I was a young coach, a lot of the older coaches, they called it the communist sport. You coach that communist sport, soccer.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the old timers. Oh, yeah. They did not like soccer. Yeah. When it first, but now, yeah, I think it's grown since I've been in high school. It's definitely a much, much bigger sport. And I think every time we have a World Cup, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So,
as always, my friend, it's great to see you. Thanks for being a great ambassador and having a program that is a great ambassador for the sport. It's always great to catch up with you and find out how things are there at West Forsyth. Congratulations. I'm glad that the trophy is in a hermetically sealed case where
airtight. Oh yeah, airtight.
Airtight, alarms on the whole thing. We'll be catching up before you know it, my friend. Great to see you.
Thank you, John. See you, man.
There he goes, Jason Galt, the head coach at West Forsyth. And through the magic of the hot change, now we go to Savannah and catch up with the head coach at SAA. That would be Savannah Arts Academy, where we catch up with our friend Benjamin Parker. Ben, good morning. How are you, sir? It's like I saw him and then he disappeared. Ben, you got your ears on.
There we go.
There it is.
Yep.
There it is. So my first question for you, Ben, Where is the trophy? Oh goodness, it's going to be one of those days. Okay, so we got to tell Ben. What is it? What is it? What is it? What did they say? It is. So we got to do the uh, streaming. We got to go Android, Chrome, iOS, Safari. We got to do those things. Okay, so really quickly. Okay, Ben, what kind of phone are you using? Ben, what kind of phone you have?
Can you hear me?
Yes. What kind of phone do you
I
have,
have an
Ben?
iPhone, but I've
Okay. Are you on the
iPhone.
Wi-Fi there? Yeah. Okay. So are you on the Wi-Fi
Yes,
there?
I am. That might be,
Okay.
yeah, that might be the problem. But
Well, no. If you got an iPhone, then go in on Safari if you have problems. So on the
okay,
Wi-Fi and on Safari. So if you dump out again, come in through Safari and use the Wi-Fi. So that's what they're telling me when we have these when we have all these freezes and dump outs. I just wanted to let you know.
okay, that's what
So
I've
where is
done.
yeah. Okay, cool. You're good. I've got you so far. So I'm hoping that the cement that you might be in is the problem. So we'll keep it there. Where, sir, is the trophy?
The trophy right now is actually buckled into the back seat of my truck. Um,
Nice.
so yeah, we have a banquet later on, and I wanted to transport it nice and safely. So that's where it is.
Did you lose track of it? Has it been in your sight the whole time? How has its status been?
It has not been in my sight the whole time, but it's been pretty close. I let the guys take it to the cafeteria for lunches last week when we got back, and I took it this past weekend to the Savannah area high school all-star game. Um, got recognized there, so I had it at my house this past weekend, and I brought it back, and now I'm taking it to the banquet.
What does it mean, do you think, for the Savannah area for you and Justin to be able to show off that trophy?
It means a lot. I like I've mentioned this when we talked earlier, but the amount of support that I've received from other coaches in Savannah, just other people in the soccer community, has been tremendous. Obviously, the support from the school has been amazing as well, and just the greater, you know, group that I've had in terms of players I've had in the past, coaches I've coached with, friends I've made. It's made a huge impact.
You mentioned that impact in the community. What has it been like since you came in as a head coach? What has the growth been like, and what has the response been like? What has it been like since day one to now when it comes to the growth and the acceptance of the program?
Well, I was the fourth coach in 4 years when I came in.
Mhm.
But before that, there had been a coach that had been pretty, I think he'd been there like 7 or 8 years. He's the girls' coach at Savannah Arts now, Dane Williams. Fantastic, fantastic coach. So he had been the coach. So I inherited a program that had a lot of previous success, but was kind of in a little bit of a transition. And I kind of had to build a lot of it from the ground up.
Mhm.
But the support from Dane Williams, who's the like I said, the girls' coach and head coach of the boys, has been consistent, fantastic from the get go. He has absolutely helped me out in so many ways in terms of not just telling me, you know, the way things should be, the
Mhm.
way they were before, but also just providing support in terms of scheduling and all that kind of stuff.
I was going to say, what did you learn about yourself this year?
Uh, I learned that I can operate um, at a significantly more fatigue than I realized I could previously.
Yeah.
And that's a lot because I have two children. So I learned to believe in a group at a higher level, even though maybe I looked at us on paper and watched film and didn't think we were necessarily the better team in terms of physical strength, speed, skill, tactics. But when we put it all together and we play as a team, I learned to believe that we could beat anybody.
So, when you've looked at this group of seniors, I think it's 6 seniors for you on the roster this year, if my math is right.
That's correct.
When you look at this group of seniors, what sticks in your head about them as a group?
And they've just come so far, they've really, really improved. They were a talented group when I got them as freshmen. There were 3 of them that I looked at and thought, all right, these guys are going to be able to contribute when they finally have facial hair and grow up a little bit. So this group, they are just incredibly dedicated. They've been part of the program for 4 years, 5 of them. One of them that is only his first year that he played, and he helped a ton. So they're just a really good group of kids. They're good leaders. 2 of them were captains this year. They were captains as juniors as well. So that is going to leave a huge void in terms of leadership. But great group.
When you think about, I guess the program in and of itself, asking how the sport has grown there. You mentioned that your predecessors and all of that. When I talk about and when I mention high school soccer in the state of Georgia, what do you think the most important thing is when it comes to high school soccer here in the state?
Yeah, high school soccer it has a magical place in my mind from when I played myself. I just feel like soccer is in a interesting spot in the United States. It's debated a lot whether school soccer is good for development or club soccer, pay to play versus, doing the school model. To me, high school soccer is the closest thing I ever came to being a professional athlete. And as a athlete, that was very, very important. It played a huge role in my high school years and played a huge role in me becoming who I am, not only as a coach, but as a person. I feel like there's like a real meritocracy element to it, right? Like no one is paying, no one is saying, hey, I'm dropping all this money for this club team. I know my son might not or daughter might not be the best player, but they're going to play some. So I feel like in school sports, there's a true meritocracy to it. You have to earn your time. You have to earn your keep. And having a team that is based on competition and based on what are you able to provide and what are you able to contribute to the team is going to translate to your time on the field. That to me is huge. And high school soccer has grown a ton since I played, but it was great competition when I played as well, 20
Where'd you go?
plus years ago.
I was gonna say, where'd you go to school?
I went to Parkview, Lilburn.
Okay. So you know what it meant to Gwinnett County. You know about Coach Clinette. All of that, that fabric and fiber. You know about Gwinnett County and what it meant. Five Forks, Trickham, on the whole deal, huh?
Right. Yeah, actually Clinette was after me. I played for Carl Bostic.
Okay,
So
but I mean,
yeah,
you know the impact, and you know what it means to see it grow to where it is right now.
absolutely. I do.
If you could change one thing, what would it be?
About high school soccer?
In the state of Georgia, what would it be?
Uh no more shootouts, man. Unless it's in the tournament. You cannot tell me that you can't assess a point value in a computer program for a draw. This game that we love, sometimes we play 80 minutes or 100 and we're just level. It's okay.
Hmm.
Just to sign a point. We were, 6 shootouts this year. So I just feel like, and that's a new thing. I mean, we had draws a couple years ago, it felt like. So that would be my recommendation, unless it is a region championship or region tournament or the state tournament. I think ties are okay.
Okay. No, you will not get a counterpoint for me on that. I dig that as well, especially in the regular season. You don't have to play another 20 and go to a shootout or go straight to a shootout in a non-region or anything like that. So, having grown up around the game as much as you have, in a hotbed that has been an anchor for the sport in Gwinnett County, and now with you and Islands as state champs and what we're seeing on the coast, and it continues to grow there. With the World Cup coming in less than a month, what do you want to see when it comes to impact and legacy of the tournament when it goes away, when it's here, and then it leaves in late July?
I just hope it brings people together. I hope it brings communities together to watch great games. Obviously, I hope the U.S. can get out of their group, maybe make a quarterfinal run. I want to see the restaurants full of people, showing up on a Tuesday afternoon to watch the U.S. men's national team play. Those are things that I hope to see, that it brings people together and that it fosters a sense of community around the game of soccer. I feel like the game in general is growing at a healthy rate. The next thing we need to do is figure out this whole pay to play versus school ball versus whatever. We need to get on the same page. I don't know who in the world is going to be able to figure that out, but I don't think the World Cup can do any harm in that regard.
No doubt. As always, we can't thank you enough for answering the bell when I send out emails at really late hours and go, hey, can you do a quick turn and sit in your car and do an interview? Can't thank you enough for all of this, and congratulations and safe travel and transport with that trophy. Do you have your gear and your rings all figured out yet?
I was looking at rings today, so we got to get some shirts made too. I got region champion t-shirts made for the banquet.
Okay.
I should have, I guess, believed a little bit more, but
Hey,
at
look,
that point in time, that's the first region championship we won in 6 years too. So I was pretty stoked about that.
I mean, look, it's nothing wrong with being even a little stitious. And then when everything is over and the end result, then you crank out all the gear, and then you go to, coach's corner, and then you go and have the big banquet or whatever. Great to see you. Great to catch up with you. Do not be a stranger. I'll be knocking on your door soon. And thanks for all that you do for the sport down there at Savannah Arts. Congratulations. And we will be catching up with you on the flip side. Go get some rest.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you.
There goes Ben Parker, head coach at Savannah Arts. Okay. One more red clay today, because we are toward the beginning of hour number 3. Just to give you the rundown here. It is one more red clay interview today, and that's going to be with Lucas Kimmel from Thomasville on the girls' side. We're going to have that. Then on the flip side of the Lucas Kimmel interview, we're going to get caught up on everything else. Anything else that you guys want to talk about when it comes to Open Cup from last night? Morning, David. Good to see you. So we've got that. We've got all your AM news. We got a lot of stuff on Southampton. Lawsuit involving the NASL. It might be the end of Western United in Australia. We got some stuff involving FIFA and maybe a clock and stops and starts with IFAB and American soccer. So that's added time coming up in a bit. And now it is our last red clay of the day. We did catch up with Molly McCarty from Jefferson because of its length and because of all of the different points that we got into. We're going to turn that separately. That's going to be on the network later today as a podcast. Video will be available also later, but the audio of that's going to get flipped first. It was a great in-depth conversation that we got to have with Molly before she had to go and monitor testing on the Jefferson campus. And it was really cool to catch up with her before her morning started. So without further ado, we're going to wrap up hour number 2, bridge into hour number 3, catching up with Thomasville head coach on the girls' side, Lucas Kimmel, and find out what it's been like for him over the last little bit to have one of the 2 trophies that headed back to Thomasville. We caught up with Coach Peterson yesterday. Time to catch up with Coach Kimmel today. So my first question for you, Coach, is you have let Coach Peterson have both the trophies in like his office space. They're a matching set.
Yeah, they're side by side there. Just because our offices there are relatively new in the construction of this new gym.
Uh-huh.
And I don't yet have like curtains and stuff in mine. I haven't had the time to decorate mine. We just we set them up before we put them into the actual trophy case we have.
Did you get to take it home with you? Did you lose track of it at any point?
Not a chance. No, I didn't take it home, but not a chance I was losing track of that. That stayed with me and with our stuff all the way home.
My first question having to do with the match in and of itself is that Luke Winstall and I, when we called the match on NFHS, the first thing that I noticed to me was not a surprise, but it was the amount of crowd support that had come up from Thomasville to be in Thomaston for this match. What was it like for you and the team to look across and see all of those white T-shirts, and then you have the splashes of red there? What was it like on the left-hand side of your screen to see everybody that was here for the match?
Oh, I mean, it was surreal. Having that much of the community come together to travel that far just to come watch a couple soccer games. Granted, it is, yes, 2 state championship games, and you get to go watch both of them, but it was awesome, especially, I mean, seeing that kind of crowd.
And I give a lot of them full credit for making sure that they found their way into the shade under the press box shadow. The students, they were their own band of crazy. You knew they were going to be in the front anyway. But everybody started realizing, oh, there's shade. So everybody kind of would back up and try to give themselves a little bit of space. So that was great knowledge of the geography that was there. How many times have you seen the match since you finished the match and got home? How many more times have you watched it?
2 full-time through, and then bits and pieces of a third.
So when you watched it all the way through, was there anything that stuck out in your head about the match in and of itself that you may not have realized or recognized when you were live with it?
Not necessarily that I didn't realize at the time. It more kind of like reminded me at each point, like, oh, I remember that play. We were very close there, or that was a great tackle or good clearance. I mean, I remembered the majority of it, just kind of going back and critiquing a little bit here and there, obviously what we could have done better or what we excelled at during that game. But it's just, again, it's a crazy experience that's going to be permanently in my head for the rest of my life.
All right. So I'll go through the first 40 minutes. What did you talk to them at the half about?
Just reminding them a lot of the things they were doing very well at, reminding them what we had to continue to do to stay ahead, or to keep them from falling asleep, or to keep them from scoring, to keep us from falling behind at all. But it was just a lot of encouragement about them just not giving up, not stopping until it was all over.
And it took longer than 80. So in those conditions that you were in, 80 minutes are done. I wasn't surprised that it was goalless. What was the conversation like after 80 going into the overtime periods?
A little bit intense, just to, again, trying to make sure they find that edge to keep pushing through, to finish it again all the way through. We had a few very good chances on corners right there at the end that could have prevented us from going to overtime, but just talking again about taking advantage of any of these chances we had. I knew that we had the opportunities, that they were going to continue to come. We just had to find that last little bit to put it in the back of the net.
And you did practically right there at the end of 100. And
53 seconds left.
yeah, I mean, it was like 50. Yeah, it's like 53 and change. It was like 53.2 or something like that. But then you've got to make sure that once it goes in, it trickles into the net, that you got to manage that extra 53 to make sure that nothing happens, that you don't get anything quick coming back at you the other way. Horn sounds, you win. Everybody to your left is going crazy in the stands. Was it a Jim Valvano kind of a moment where you're looking for folks to hug? Is it, were you running out there trying to grab anybody and everybody? What do you remember about it?
I didn't sprint off like a lot of people. It was just, again, kind of surreal. It was like, what do I do now? I mean, yeah, we've won a lot of close games, and it's been this kind of situation, but it was finally finished.
How
do I go get the trophy? Do I go celebrate with the girls? Do I go thank fans or referees or the other team?
I think
do we get out of the way for the boys next?
It's like, we're not done yet. I still need to get my trophy. I think that the matchup with Model, I think it was a great personification of what, for anyone who hasn't seen Class A Division I, what that classification brings to the table when it comes to the sport in and of itself. Because you've got Lamar, you've got Fannin, it's you, it's Social Circle, it's Model, it's Ace, it's Jeff Davis, it's Bremen. Bleckley's coming from the outside now, and they're coming in. Toombs County, we know what they bring to the table. What do you think folks are missing by not seeing, for the next couple of months anyway, Class A Division I soccer? What are they missing out
on? Just more and more talented players. I mean, they're not all at the 6A and the 3A. Even some of these smaller schools have incredible amounts of talent that can, again, compete with some of the best teams in the state.
How hard is it to go 23-0?
It's difficult. It's difficult enough to where very few teams can achieve that. And I feel very lucky to be one of those coaches to coach one of those teams that are able to do that.
How much time are you giving yourself to celebrate, catch your breath? Did you sleep late the next day?
I had to go back to work and attend a middle school field trip.
Have you given yourself any days to sleep late since you won?
I got almost a 3-year-old daughter and a 5-month-old son, so sleep's not really an option right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I mention this group of seniors, what sticks in your head?
Just a great group of girls, leaders, just fantastic young ladies. They again have been there since my 3 years of taking over the girls program, and again, they're like family.
And when you see what Thomasville as a program, and I mean both boys and girls, is developing on that side of the boulevard. And I asked Coach Peterson this question too. I said, there's there's what's being developed at the Red School. And then as he referred to it, he said, yes, over at the county school, the folks that wear the blue and the gold, for folks that know War of the Roses in other sports, they know what it means. They know what that rivalry is, in OOTBALL and all the other sports and everything. And one of the things that I've noticed in catching up with the Thomas County the county school folks, and you two over there, is that the rivalry exists, but there's also this idea of rising tide lifting all boats. And so there's a camaraderie that's attached to it from both schools, even though there is a rivalry that is there as well. Am I off here?
No, I think you're spot on. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's that little bit of rivalry, same town, different schools, but the only time I truly see it, at least for soccer, is when we're on the field.
Yeah.
Because once we're on the field, yes, each team wants to win, wants to beat the other team, but off the field, these girls or these players see each other so often that it's the civility is there. They're friends with both schools, and a lot of them play together in travel soccer as well, club soccer. So the relationships are there as well. But yes, when it's on the field, when it's us versus them, when it's game time, yeah, there's a rival to it.
So in the 3 years that you've been there as the head coach, how has the sport grown there on the red side of town? Or you could take Thomasville on the whole. How has the sport grown in the 3 years that you've been there in charge on the girls' side?
It's again building. It's the development of the players, the numbers that we're having come out, the interest in the sport itself, and the increased in skill level, the ability are all they're on the rise.
So then I make you in charge of the entire sport in the state of Georgia. You find the highest point you can. It might be on top of the Walmart, at the intersection. It's fairly high ground unless you go downtown or something. Find the tallest building in town. You stand on top of that building, and you're in charge of soccer in the state of Georgia for an entire day. Crown, scepter, robe, the whole thing. Is there one thing that you'd like to change or update about high school soccer in the state of Georgia?
That's a question you'd have to give me a bit more time to think on.
You shoot me an email. That's perfectly fine. Well, like I said, if it's something to think about, you can always shoot me an email back. That's perfectly fine on that one. It's the king for a day question, and we've been asking all of the championship coaches about that kind of a thing, and the answers do vary. Whether it's calendar a little bit, because sometimes it might be too cold to start, things like that.
I'd love a winter season.
Okay.
I love the cold.
And I mean, and down there on off of Georgia 300 and go onto the boulevard, it's not as bad down there as it is, for folks a little further up. So
that is true as well. Yeah.
It might be a bit of a snowbird schedule that you could get orchestrated if you ended up with a winter schedule. From playing here in, growing up and everything, what do you think the most important thing is about high school soccer in the state?
Most important thing about high school soccer, just again, continuing the development. Some coaches only get to see these players these 3 months out of the year. Some coaches also coach some of the travel ball, so they keep up and are with the clubs and see the progression there as well. But again, just pushing that not taking those 5 months, 6 months, however long off a year and not touching a ball, but just continuing to have that skill, to not let that rust build up, and again continue the improvement.
Then there's a tournament coming here to this hemisphere. You might have heard of it. Coming out in about a month, and this World Cup thing. When it shows up and it's here for that 5 weeks, what do you want to see the impact and the legacy of the summer's World Cup be?
Again, just more exposure to the game of soccer, at least for the U.S., for South Georgia especially as well. Most popular sport in the world, but not necessarily in the U.S. And just to continue to develop and have those players get that kind of exposure to be able to or have that excitement to go play on the professional level like they do for MLB or NFL or whatever other professional sports, to continue to grow that level of enjoyment and desire at the soccer level.
How much time are you going to give yourself to enjoy this title before you start thinking about 27?
Another week. Let me finish out this week of school and all the events that we have going on here, and then it's time to start thinking for the next.
How full is your schedule?
Planning.
How full is your schedule?
I think we have room for a couple games still, but again, Peterson and I are working together to make sure our schedule is right for the next season, especially with the way the power rankings are set up and all of that.
What's it like with him as a mentor and a guide through all of this?
Oh, extremely helpful. We get along great. Very family, close friends, and just any questions that I might have, any advice that I might need, he's definitely always there to help me.
What's your first memory of interacting with him on any level, regardless of situation?
First memory, probably running 400s fitness with him as the coach as a ninth grader.
And that was at Cairo, right?
Yeah.
So it was 75 degrees, no humidity, everything was fine.
Probably closer to the 90 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah. And no, I have, full disclosure, I have been there for preseason football practice, and it was when Coach Falah was in charge, and it was then. And so it was, I just remember like a block or two away from the school, there was a bank, and it had one of those old clock, like the old triangle clocks that was digital, and it would tell you the time and then the temperature. And I remember it going to 104 degrees on that particular clock with that bank. And it was, I had blown through like 3 or 4 shirts that day when we went down to go cover the syrup makers. And I know of which you speak, but I also know that it is a very, very special environment for what they do and how they support all of their athletics. And I know that you're getting that there at Thomasville. Lucas, I cannot thank you enough. First off, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know that with 2 youngins, it's kind of hard to catch your breath a little bit. Have you got the gear all plotted out and you figured out the rings yet, or is that another conversation with Peterson?
That's all part of the schedule this week.
Well, may everything come out shiny and red, and may all the gear look fantastic. It's always great to see you and catch up with you, and thanks for everything that you were doing with us this season. We will catch up with you soon because 27 will be here before you know it.
Yes, sir.